Hello everyone, my name is Cheryl Nazareth and today I will be making a presentation which shows an insight to the ethno-linguistic portfolio created by me with the help of my informant. Through this presentation, I will be focusing on the different types of languages spoken in my informant's country, which is Uzbekistan, and I will analyze the similarities as well as differences in the customs and societal norms present in both Uzbekistan and my native country, India. The main highlights of this presentation throw light on the following: speech communities, forms of messages and cultural meanings, comparing ethnographies of communication, language variations, and gender identity, different languages spoken as well as status of endangered languages in Uzbekistan. Now, one of the most important questions lies to the fact as to what is language. Though there is no right or wrong definition, language can be defined as a medium through which we share our thoughts, feelings, ideas, as well as opinions with others. It is through language that we are able to express what is in our mind to the outside world. The form and structure of language consist of the lexicon, which acts as a mental dictionary. We have the morphology, syntax, phonological forms, and then we have the logical form and the pragmatics, which is the way we use language. Language is a unique ability to humans alone. Now, importance of language lies as it helps us to express ourselves, helps us in effective communication. Knowing two or more languages proves as an edge above the others. By learning other languages, we get to know about our own culture better, and miscommunication can be corrected by proper understanding and interpretation of language or even non-verbal gestures used by people. So that means misunderstandings amongst people can only be resolved through communication if we speak in a language which is known by both the parties. And if people in a group or say two people interact in two different languages which is unknown by them, then they won't be able to understand each other and hence will arise miscommunication. Now, speech communities forms of messages and cultural meanings. As adults, we tend to form speech communities, which further can be classified as dense or weak network. Now, a dense network or a dense speech community will be what we share with people whom we interact on a daily basis. In that way, my informant has a dense network with his family, friends, that is his close friends and relatives. Whereas he will have a weak network with some of the classmates in the college with whom he hardly interacts or interacts only when there are certain topics or questions which are related to the course that he is taking. And then we have the Sapir-Whorf hypothesis, which is a theory that indicates that an individual's thoughts and actions are determined by the language or languages that individuals speak. Social influences. Social and cultural factors play a crucial role in the kind of language we speak. As babies, we constantly collect data such as noise and sound which is around us. The people around a children also act as stimulus to his or her learning. By comparing, watching, and competing, we learn a lot from our surroundings. We gain cumulative cultural adaptation from everything around us, which deeply influences the language we speak. So, my informant for the Ethno-linguistic Portfolio is from the capital city of Tashkent, which is located in Central Asia. The official language of the Republic of Uzbekistan is Uzbek, and it is also written in Latin alphabets. Now, the pronunciation of the vowels in Uzbek varies in relation to the different dialects which are spoken there. Now, Uzbek is an agglutinating language, which means that in contrast to most Turkish languages, vowel harmony is largely absent in Uzbek. In the treatment of the adjective, numerals, as well as in the verb system, Uzbek displays typically Turkic morphology. Now, there are certain untranslatable phrases and words that are present in each and every language, and the reason is that some of the words cannot be translated into the another language. For example, the word ushta in my own dialect, which is Konkani, is difficult to explain to an English speaking audience as food which can be defiled by the other person as it has been touched or partially eaten by the first person, hence making it unfit for anyone else's consumption. So there is no other word which can replace the word ushta. Also in Uzbek, the phrase dogs bark as the caravan goes by means that people may make a great deal out of a particular situation or may even sulk about it not being their best shot without working hard. So we see that in both our cultures, there are certain phrases and words wherein we cannot find any other alternative word to act as substitutes for them. Culturally sanctioned rules of politeness affect the form of speech and develops the need for speakers to take care about the use of language in front of others and to avoid any sort of possible conflict with other participants. Now we have four Gracian maxims, the first one being the maxim of quantity when one tries to be as informative as possible. Then we have the maxim of quality where one tries to be truthful. We have the maxim of relation wherein one tries to be very relevant and just speaks to the point. And then we have the maxim of manner, where one tries to be as clear and brief and avoids any sort of obscurity. So whenever we go against the maxim of quality is when we make use of the politeness theory, which was developed by Penelope Brown and Stephen C. Levinson. So we present a particular phase when interacting with another person, and that phase can vary depending upon the situation and relationship. So we have a positive phase, the desire to be seen as competent and desire to have our phase accepted. And then we have a negative phase where there is a desire for autonomy and to persevere the status quo. Social expectations from children. Now, the Uzbeks have a strong sense of duty to the elderly and to the community. Children are typically taught that it is wrong to openly confront an individual. So, children are considered as the building blocks of the future, and their all round development as well as proper usage of language is well taken care of in Uzbek culture. Now, coming to language and gender, we see that usually only men are greeted and make use of handshaking while greeting other men, and women are greeted by putting the right hand on the chest and accompanying with a little slight bow. Uzbekistan is a male dominated society, particularly in the Fergana Valley. Women run the households and traditionally control family budgets. And we also see that according to the Uzbek culture, there is status and power distinction that is made on the basis of age, gender, and types of relation. For example, there may be an age difference between children, and then children have to be obedient to the elders. Coming to gender, women have to be obedient to the men. And then we have the relation wherein the wife has to be obedient to the husband, and similarly, the children have to respect their parents. In Uzbekistan, women do not make any use of any slangs or abusive language as that is seen as going against the societal norms, and even children have to respect and speak in a respectful manner. This arises the theory said by Deborah Tannen, wherein she states that cultural differences and opposite gender roles come into practice because men and women are born and brought up differently. In Uzbekistan, the social obligation and expectations from the society is very high. People are bound to adhere to the rules and regulations formulated by the society, and it is mandatory for all people, regardless of age and gender, to wear proper clothing when visiting the religious places and to cover their head. The kind of language a person uses determines his or her character as well as the values taught to him by his or her parents. If a child is rude or not obedient to what the elders say, then the parents are blamed for not teaching good manners to them. Social norms. People make use of formal language when communicating with each other in the public domain in Uzbekistan. Now, in the capital city of Delhi, India, there is a growing trend of new non-standard form of language which is called Hinglish, which consists of words belonging to both Hindi and English languages. Informal language is only spoken by children, teens, youth, and by people of specific networking groups, wherein they talk in a language which is only known by their specific group or community. So, regardless of gender and age, those who go against the social norms to form their own identity are questioned and are not supported by the society. Now, what are the languages spoken in Uzbekistan? As I mentioned earlier, the national language is Uzbek, which is followed by Russian, which is treated as a second language. And now there is a also growing trend of English, especially amongst the youth and the younger children. So Uzbek, Kazakh, Kyrgyz, and Turkmen are all Turkic languages, while Tajik is a Persian one. Many Uzbeks can speak both Uzbek and Russian. Both these languages are also taught in schools. Speakers of Karakalpak are included under Uzbek in statistics, and the number of Karakalpak speakers is not known because many ethnic Karakalpaks use Uzbek dialects now. The Tashkent dialect is the basis of the official written language, and the dialects of the Fergana Valley near Kyrgyzstan shows some Kyrgyz influence. In the northern regions of Uzbekistan, Tajik is a language which is influenced by Uzbek, while the residents of the southern regions speak in a dialect which is a blend of Persian and Tajik due to the influence of the neighboring nation of Afghanistan. Now also there are some endangered language in Uzbekistan. Most of the endangered languages belong to the eastern part, whereas saying Pargya language, which is listed as a highly endangered language with approx only 3,000 speakers in Uzbekistan. And coming to my country, India, most of the endangered languages belong to the eastern part of the country, such as Garhwali and Homar, wherein, and the reason for why these languages are underdeveloped is endangered is because the regions there are quite underdeveloped and the people only speak within their own villages and prefer to live a secluded life. So drawing a conclusion out of the presentation that I made, it can be said that language plays a very important role in our lives. Silence is also an important element which affects our speech, and its use differs according to status, gender, or culture. People also express themselves through facial expressions, gestures, and sign languages. My informant's native country, which is Uzbekistan, consists of many languages, customs, traditions, and social norms. Uzbek being the official language, Russian the second most widely used language, and English being the now trending language. The other languages spoken include Tajik, Arabic, Uzbek, Fergana Valley dialect, Tashkent dialect, etc. The culture in Uzbekistan is very strict and people are bound to follow the social and cultural norms as they fear of being alienated from the society. And the standard use of language is done most of the times. Children from the very beginning are taught to show respect to all elders and parents monitor the kind of language used by them. Men have the freedom to talk loudly and have a tone of dominance in their voice, but women are treated equally, but yet they remain quite timid and talk in a very soft and polite manner. The older generation is very true to their roots and dislike any kind of foreign language taking over their languages. Some of them are more comfortable in communicating in Russian than Uzbek. The main reason as to why many languages are getting endangered is because schools and other institutions in Uzbekistan only make use of Russian and Uzbek. Many parents do not pass the old languages to the children since they are no longer made use, and many villagers prefer secluded lifestyle as a result of which their languages is only known and spoken by them. And so we see that it is really impossible to think of a world without any language. Thank you.